Dear learners, welcome back to LMTI interview preparation series. And in this series, right, we are discussing about the frequently asked Java program. And today, right, we are going to discuss like how we can reverse the entire word. Okay, in the last example, we have reversed one particular word. So, for example, consider that in a string, right, we are having some group of word. So, how we are going to reverse the entire word? So for example, let me create one string name is equal to learn more. Okay, so learn space more and at the end, right, I'm just adding the semicolon. Now I need to reverse this entire word. So means like first I need to reverse the more and the expected output is like it should be like eroM followed by space nraeL. Okay, so this is how the output should be. Now, is it possible to reverse in such a way? Yes, it is pretty simple. So just we need to understand the logic. Again, right, we are going to do some repetitive action in this particular line. And whenever we are doing the repetitive action, so for sure, like we need the help of the loop and we can use the for loop. And with the help of the for loop, we can easily iterate the entire string. And how we are iterating the string? So either in a forward direction or in the backward direction. So here, right, we need to traverse in the backward direction. So whenever we are planning to traverse in the backward direction, right? So then we should initialize the length of the string and we should use the decrement operator. So we should not forget this logic. Okay. And one key difference is like here the space is present. So basically, right, I'm going to like split the string based upon the space so that like I can reverse the more and at the next part I can just reverse the learn. In order to do so, I need to split this entire string. Okay, and in order to split, right, we are having split method. And with the help of the split method, we can easily split those string. And in order to store the splitted value, right, I'm just creating an array. Okay, so why I'm creating a string array? Because I'm going to store two values. So whenever we are planning to store more than one value, right? So we need to always use the array. And let me just give the variable name like split name. Okay, and how I am going to split with the help of the space. So now what is the variable name of this string? It's a name. I can say name dot and there is a method called as an split. Okay, and in which like we need to specify how we are going to split. So I'm going to split by space. So why I'm adding the double quotes? Because it is a string and at the end, right, I'm just adding the semicolon. Now if I try to print the output, right, in 0th index learn will be stored and in the first index more will be stored. So the reason is like because we have done the split operation. And for example, if you want to print the output, right, then what we can do, we can just add a sysout statement. And what is the name of the array? It's a split name, right? I can say split name of 0. So, and if I try to run this program, right, now the output should be learn. And in similar way, like if I say split name of 1, the output will be more. So in an array, right? So generally, so whenever we try to store something in an array, it always stored in an index order. So that is the reason in the 0th index, the learn is stored and in the first index, more is stored. And we have splitted the particular string with the help of the space. Okay. So now we have done with the first phase. Now we need to like traverse. Okay. And in order to do the traverse, which is nothing but the repetitive action, we are going to seek help from the loop. I'm just going to use the for loop. Okay, and we need to initialize. So as we are going to traverse in a backward direction, so always we need to initialize the length of the particular string. Okay, so now let's say I can say int I is equal to, okay, I'm not going to make I as in 0 because like when we say I is equal to 0 and if you use the increment operator, right, it will traverse in a forward direction. Here like we need to traverse in a backward direction. So that is the reason what I'm going to do. I'm going to calculate the length of this particular string array. So what is the name of this string array? So the variable name is split name. So I can simply say split name dot length. Okay, so generally the length method always retrieve the length of the string or the length of the array. And now the length will be 2. So length is nothing but the number of values which is stored inside the particular array. So in this array, right, so we may have stored two value and one is of an learn and another is of an more. So that is why the length will be 2. Okay, and pose that, right, we need to set a condition. I can say I greater than or equal to 0, and here as we are going to traverse in a backward direction, I'm just going to use the decrement operator. Okay, so which is nothing but it's the same logic. So how I have used in the reverse string, but here one difference is like I have splitted them with the help of the spaces. Now let me just try to print the output. Okay, so I'm just telling sys out of, okay, split name of I, and let me try to run the program. But if you remember, like whenever we are calculating the length, so it will give the length as the 2, but we are having the maximum index till 1, right? Because so here the maximum index will be 0 comma 1 and length will be 2, as I told, right? So whenever like we are initializing the length, right, so we should always add minus 1 at the end so that the length will be like kind of an 1, and whenever we say split of 1, it will retrieve the value called as an more. So if we fail to add this minus 1, right, then what happened? So in this place, like it will pass split of 2 because the length will be 2, but we don't have second index because the maximum index value is 1, and it will throw the index out of bound exception. Okay, so in order to avoid that, right, at the end, so just I'm adding length minus 1. Now let me just try to like print the output. If I try to run the program, right, now the output will be more learn. Okay, so if you notice, it is giving the output as more learn. But what is the expected output? So it should be like the more should be reverse and the learn should be reverse, but we haven't reversed it, right? So in order to reverse, so inside the loop, I'm just going to add one more loop. So why I'm planning to add one more loop? So first of all, like we are like getting one particular value from the array. So during the first run, it will get the value called as an more. So for example, like let me just store it in a new string. So let it be the variable name be the new name, okay, is equal to like we are retrieving from the array, right? What is the variable name of the array? It's a split name. I can say split name of I. Okay, which means during the first run, it is going to like return the value called as an more, and pose that we can reverse the more, and in order to reverse the more we can use the same logic. So again I need to do some repetitive action in this particular line, and whenever like we are planning to do the repetitive action, obviously like we need the help of the loops. And how you are going to traverse either in the forward direction or in the backward direction? So obviously as it is in reverse, we need to traverse in a backward direction. Okay, so whenever like we are planning to like traverse in a backward, right, as I told, so we should always initialize the length of the particular string. So let me just give int j is equal to, so we need to calculate the length of the new name. I can say like new name dot length. Okay, so now this is done, and pose that, right, again we need to set a condition because only based upon the condition the loop will execute, and then at the end, right, I'm just adding the decrement operator. So it should be like j minus minus, and here even the condition, right, it should be like j greater than or equal to. Okay, now let me create the loop for it, and we know like how to reverse this particular string because we have already discussed the logic. So simple, like with the help of the caret method we can easily reverse it up. So now what is the variable name of the new string? It's a new name. I can say new name dot, I'm using the method called as an caret, and here I'm just passing the index. Okay, now during each and every run, right, it is going to like retrieve one by one value. And as I told, right, so whenever we are planning to store the output, so we should have one more additional string to store the output. Okay, so let it be like kind of an reverse name. Okay, so let me create one like empty string. Okay, now to this empty string I'm going to store the new value, and I'm just adding the operator plus equal to. So what does mean by plus equal to? So as I told, like whenever we are retrieving the new values, so new value will be keep on amounting at the last index. Okay, so now let me just try to add a sysout statement, and let me just try to print this reverse name. And if I try to right click and run the program, right, so what should be the expected output? So the expected output should like more should be reverse and the learn should be reverse. But again, right, it is throwing index out of bound exception, which means like we have done some mistake in the initialization. As I told, right, so we should always add -1 at the end of the length method. So now if I try to run the program, right, I can able to see the output. Okay, so it is printing the output in an reverse order, but that is fine. But where is the space? So we need to add the space, right? So what I'm doing, like inside the inner loop, so I'm just adding one more plus, and just I'm adding the space. Okay, so whenever like we say plus, right, it will act as a string concatenation, which means in this new value it will add this space. Now, if I try to right click, run the same program, right? So, what happened? The space will be added after each and every character. So, whenever we try to add the space inside the inner loop, it will add in the every character. But basically, right, we need to add the space only like after like reversing the one particular word. Okay, and in order to do so, right, I'm just adding the space in the outer loop. So the reason is like first of all, like it will come into the particular loop, and the more will be get reversed. And as the condition failed, it will just pick the next index value, which is nothing but the zeroth index, and it will start to reverse the learn. Okay, so that is the reason what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add the space in the outer loop. I can say like reverse name, okay, plus equal to space. Okay, just I'm adding the space. Now if I try to right click and run this program, right, the output will be like more reverse of more space learn is reversed. So now it is working as expected. So for better understanding, as I told, right, we can always add the breakpoint. Now let me just delete the print statement to avoid the confusion, and let me just add the breakpoint over here. Okay, so that like you will be having the better understanding. And whenever we are adding the breakpoint, right, we can right click and we can run with the help of debug mode. Okay, now if you run with the debug mode, right, wherever the breakpoint is present, right, the execution will be under our control. Okay, so now if you notice, it is passing in the particular line. Okay, it is going to pass the string array. So it has two values, one is of an learn and another is of an more. And here it is going to initialize the I value. Okay, and if you want to visualize the output, right, so whenever you want to visualize some output, so you can copy the particular line. For example, I need to see what is the output it is returning. So for which, like, I'm just copying the particular line, and in the console, right, let me right click, okay, and let me click on new watch. Okay, so whenever we add the watch, right, we can able to visualize what is the output it is returning. So now if I click on enter, right, so it says it is going to give an output as 1. So which means I will be 1, and it will check for the condition 1 greater than or equal to 0. Obviously the condition is true, so it will be step into the loop, and this time the value of I will be 1. So what it is present in the first index? Obviously more, because in the zeroth index learn is present, and in the first index more is present. It will pick the more, and it will calculate the length of the more. So that is what it is going to happen here. And even if you want to visualize this output, so you can copy this particular line. Okay, so either you can right click and add a new watch, or here already some watches are present, right? We can right click and we can edit the watch, and we can paste the line of code, and if you click on the enter, it will calculate the length. So the length will be like kind of an 3. So because length will be 4, 4 minus 1, it will be 3, and then it will pass the third index. Okay, what is present in the caret of 3? Obviously e. So the e will be stored in the new string, which is nothing but in the reverse name. So now if I resume the program, the e is getting stored. And as the condition doesn't fail, right, it will keep on executing the inner loop. So one and only the condition of the inner loop fail, it will execute the outer loop. So the inner loop will keep on executing. So till the condition fail. So that is a reason like it is keep on executing the inner loop. And as per inner loop, right, as we have added the decrement operator, like during each and every run, it will reduce the initialized value. So previously the value of j was 3, so now j minus 1 it will become 2, and what it is present in the second index, obviously r, and r will be getting amounted in the reverse name. Okay, so why it is keep on amounting? Because we have used the like a syntax called as an plus equal to. So obviously the plus equal to, right, it will keep on amounting the new value at the last index. So now it is adding the new value in the similar way, like it will retrieve the each and every string, and it will reverse the particular string. So now the more is reversed, and at one particular point now the condition fails. So now it will come out of the inner loop, and here we are adding a space, and the space will be amounted over here. Okay, now the space is amounted. Now again here, right, the decrement operator will reduce the value of I by minus 1. So 1 minus 1 it will be 0. So obviously it will say split name of 0. So what it is present in the 0th index, learn. It will calculate the length of the learn, and again the same logic will execute. It will retrieve each and every character based upon the index, and at one particular point the condition will fail. So it will terminate the inner loop, and also like the condition of outer loop will fail, it will terminate the outer loop, and finally the output will be get printed. Okay, so this is how like we can reverse the word. And it is there is no such rule we should always split by the space. So sometimes we may have some dot. So if it is of a dot, right, if you want to split by dot, so here we can provide like split the particular string by dot, and the splitted value will be always stored only in an array, because only in an array, right, we can store multiple values. Okay, so this is how like we can reverse the entire word. So similar to that, like we can discuss few more Java programs in the upcoming videos. And as I said earlier, right, so whenever you are having some feedback, so you can include your feedback in the comment section, and I will be rectifying in the upcoming videos. Thank you all, and thanks for watching.